Live on exclusively on A2DRadio.com. We are the Sports Hounds with you till 10 o'clock tonight. I'm Rob Brakeman. He's Brad Ryer. Frank Vesby is backstage, keeping the train on the tracks, producing the show. As always, these Sports Hounds are brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal. He's our doc. Make him yours too. Specialized physical therapy. 3 convenient locations, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. Like I said, he's A2D Radio's doc. Make him yours too. We'll have our poll question we'll introduce right in a few minutes. That poll question brought to you every week by Ambuck Services. They are the gutter and deck experts of South Jersey. Give them a call, 856-879-5530. That's 856-879-5530. Also, get your A2D radio shit from Philly drinkers. We need as many human billboards as possible. Big shout out to Tommy Arnone, Greg Milakovic, Uncle Sweeps, and Wilson hitting the 12,000 mark on Facebook last night. Unfortunately, I wasn't
outstanding.
I was balls deep in a fantasy football draft, but that just goes to show you how much we're growing. To have 12,000 views on Facebook, that's nothing to sneeze at, folks. Get in, get your stuff, PhillyDrinkers.com, A2D Radio. Click on the A2D Radio collection. Need as many human billboards as possible. We are streaming live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. You miss any of the live content here on A2D Radio, we can be downloaded in podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. The takeover's real. We're absolutely everywhere. 12,000 views last night. I hope we can match Brad. But Brad,
that is amazing.
Football season is here. 2 fantasy football drafts yesterday. The alerts are coming more and more fast and furious on my cell phone about guys getting injured and whatnot. That brings us to our poll question.
There are a lot of injuries, boy. I mean, it's really sad.
Some of them I'm not concerned with, like Joe Mixon in Cincinnati. I'm not concerned about. He has migraines while he's working out a new contract. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. Like all these soft tissue injuries, Carson Wentz and Miles Sanders, I'm not worried about that stuff at all. But some of them are concerning, and unfortunately, Brad, a lot of the more concerning ones are right in my backyard with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Rager, I mean, are you kidding me? What does he have? A separated shoulder? Dislocated shoulder?
I haven't heard an exact diagnosis, but I've heard
it's either dislocated or separated. I'm not sure, but I mean, that's a problem.
I don't know. Maybe someone in the contact. I have not read an exact diagnosis on the Jalen Reagor shoulder injury. I just heard that he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, this football team's counting on Jalen Reagor to be one of Carson Wentz's go-to guys, especially with Alshon Jeffrey here. Andre Dillard, first-round pick, a guy you traded up for, supposed to be the heir apparent at left tackle. He tears his biceps. He's out for the year. We already know about Brandon Brooks. He's out for the year with a torn Achilles. That brings us to our poll question, Brad. The Philadelphia Eagles will win the NFC East. I'm going to put it on you, Brad. You're a Giants fan, not an Eagles fan, so try and take bias out of this poll question.
I mean,
and answer fairly.
Well, here's a bigger problem: is that Wentz is already banged up.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, but I would worry if I were you. It's always something with him, and that is very concerning to me. It never stops with him. When is it going to end? When is he going to be healthy? You know, I mean, you can almost book it that he's not going to play every game this season. I think that could be pretty much, you can pretty much book that. But I mean, they really are very unlucky with the injuries. They really are. It's kind of gotten to a point where I don't think that I think Dallas is going to win the division. I don't think they're going to win it with more than like a 9-7 record, but I think they will win the division. The Eagles. The problem is that they're going to be going with guys, too many untested guys, because the guys they're counting on are all banged up. And then you got your 37-year-old tackle now who's moving to right tackle.
Well, he's going to play left tackle if the Eagles more money. Jason Peters, he says he's not moving the left tackle.
Unless he gets more money. Yeah,
he's paid as a right guard, and he's not moving the left tackle unless he's compensated to be a left tackle, which I commend him for, by the way, because the Eagles tried to run him out of the league, didn't want any parts of him. Then Howie Roseman needs him to bail him out of his mess because he picked a fucking quarterback at pick 53 in the draft and Jalen Hurts. Now he needs Jason Peters, 38-year-old Jason Peters, to bail him out of his mess. He should pay him more money to bail him out of his mess at left tackle.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if
Dillard hasn't impressed me one bit in his time in this league.
The problem is he's old. That's a tough position to play at that age. I mean, it's not like he's going to be able to play a whole game. He
played great last year when he was on the field.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he that's the problem. When you're that old, you are going to get injured. That's just what happens to older football players. I mean, it's going to be very, very tough. They've really put themselves in a tough position with all these injuries. But I just don't see how they're going to beat Dallas. Dallas is not banged up like they are. I mean, not that Dallas is that great.
I'm not even sure. Look, this is maybe a Negadelphia Brakeman hot take off the rails. I'm not just sure this football team's better than the Giants right now. I fear for Carson Wentz.
No,
his standard help this season. I'm extremely concerned about this football team.
I hope you're right, but I can't look in the mirror and make a comment like that because I can't. No. I'm concerned that the Giants could end up being like 4-12, 3-13, 5-11 again.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, McKinney
maybe
is
I'm getting carried away saying the Eagles might finish third, but I don't think the Giants are going to be 3-13.
Conley and Xavier McKinney are hurt already. I mean, that is not.
You made a great signing today, in my opinion, picking up Logan Ryan, the best.
I like Logan Ryan's a cornerback, isn't he?
He's a cornerback. He's mainly.
So, I mean, he's going to be.
He's a nickel guy.
But he's your number 2 or your number 3. So I mean, because Bradbury is the number 1 guy.
Pretty good caliber player to pick up on August 31st.
Yeah, and he was on a 1-year deal as well. 1 year, prove it, $7.5 million deal. I think that was a good deal for them. I mean, it's gonna be tough. I mean, the thing is, the Cowboys, the one saving grace is the Cowboys aren't that good. I mean, it's not like you have to beat out the Vikings or Seattle. You don't, or the Saints. You're not going to beat out those teams. You have to beat out Dallas, and Dallas is probably like a 9-7 team. They're going to score a lot of points. They're going to give up a lot of points. They're pretty much a mediocre team. The only reason Dallas got better is because the Eagles got injured. It's not like they're that much better. I mean, yeah, they picked up another receiver. Okay, they'll score a few more points, but their problem is that their defense is not very reliable, and we all know what that means. When you don't have your defense is what wins championships, and especially when there's when there's probably not going to be any fans in the building. Defense it's going to be key to have a good defense. I mean, the fans' emotions are not going to get the defense motivated. It's going to be a lot more talent. It's going to be the same kind of way it's been with with baseball and these bubble sports. They're going to need their own motivation. I think it's going to be hard. I think the Eagles can still win the division, but I would have to go with Dallas just because they have more guys healthy right now. But I mean, that could change too.
I hate to say it, but I can't look into my laptop right now and speak to our family, our devoted sports family here at A2D Radio, and tell you the Eagles are going to win the NFC East. I can't do it.
It's going to be tough. I mean, look,
I don't think they have the personnel. I think the East is a one-team division when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
The division is default not making the playoffs as we sit here on August 31st. I don't see this team making the playoffs. And I've said before this latest flurry of injuries that I did not see the Philadelphia Eagles as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I've been saying that since they picked Jalen Hurts at pick 53. I
Well,
don't see any NFC East
I thought of them
as a
as a,
legitimate
I
Super
thought
Bowl
of them
contender.
I thought of them as going to be the Eastern Division champions. But quite honestly, with all these injuries, I just don't see how they can do it. That's going to take.
Let's say they were Let's say that they had Dillard and Jalen.
They had all their guys. If everybody was healthy, especially Luis Rieger, that's. I mean,
it's your first round pick.
Yeah, and he's arguably your best receiver, and definitely your fastest one. And I mean, you've already lost him. He's probably going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. And shoulders are tricky, Rob. When shoulders a lot of times take longer than that to heal. I mean, it might heal, but who's to say it's not going to pop out again? I mean, that's a bad. That's a bad.
I don't even know if that's what he did.
Well, I heard he had a dislocated shoulder.
Is that what happened?
That's what I thought I heard on TV.
I just saw MRI shoulder.
Yeah, I thought that's what I heard. That's what I heard right now. I mean, and the other part is with all the injuries on the offensive line, I am very concerned about Carson Wentz being able to stay on the field.
Right, and everyone wants to talk about Miles Sanders and how good he is, and he's a very talented player, but I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Gale Sayers out there. If you don't have holes to run through, you're not going anywhere in this league from a running team.
It's awfully tough. I mean, you don't want to be like Saquon Barkley and have to be throwing guys off your legs in the backfield before you can start gaining yardage. I mean, you don't want to have to gain yardage like that. You want to be able to run through holes and pick up some nice yardage and make it easier on your quarterback. And the problem is, I just don't know. You don't have Big V to bail you out anymore either.
Well, he got hurt. He's on Detroit now. He got way too much money to be on Detroit, which is why
I understand. But he was nice. He was a nice fill-in.
He's a nice backup piece, starter if you need him. But he's hurt. He got hurt in Detroit.
He got hurt already?
Yeah, I don't know how serious it was, or if it was just like one of these soft tissue things. But I did see on Twitter that they call him Hal in Detroit. But yeah, I did see that he went down at practice the one day. He might be back. I don't really give two shits about the Lions. Maybe Don 19's in the house. He can give us a Big V or Hal update, as they call him in Detroit. But I mean, I don't know. I can't sit here and guarantee the Eagles are going to win the NFC East. I can't sit here and guarantee that the Eagles
You can't right now because Let's at this point, I mean, I thought it was pretty much a dead even with the Eagles and the Cowboys. But I mean, now that you lost Dillard, Rager's hurt, and Wentz is already banged up. I mean, he's not going to miss any time yet, but it's a scary thing when your offensive line is not healthy, and you've got a quarterback who has an injury history like Carson Wentz. It's going to be tough. I mean, I think the NFC East, if the Giants and Washington weren't so bad, it would really be wide open. Because
I don't know how bad the Giants are going to be, Brad.
They had a lot of injuries though, Rob. Too. I mean, they're banged up as well.
That comforts me a little bit, knowing that the Eagles aren't the only team.
Every team in football is going to get injuries. That's not. I mean. It is what it is. In football, you can't scream about injuries because every team gets them. You just hope you're the less injured team by the end of the season, because usually the healthiest teams are the ones who are playing in January.
Right. That's why it's so concerning to see that these injuries are already piling up, Brad. They haven't even played a game yet.
Well, you know what? A lot of it is that I don't think that these guys are getting really the kind of training that they need to get like normal because of the COVID stuff. I mean, they're not working out as much. I mean, it's like the baseball players. The baseball players are having epic issues right now with the injuries. I mean, it's crazy how bad the injuries are. Every team is. I mean, I was had the Yankee Tampa Bay game on. By the way, the Yankees are getting no hit through 4 innings by Glass now.
What a shame.
Yeah, but we didn't have to make any trades though, because Cashman thinks we're obviously good enough not to make any trades. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, you got to keep it in the whole 2 hours because we might be bringing in one of our renowned special guests.
Yes, we may have a special guest
having
tonight.
a special baseball guest join the program.
Yes, so we'll see if he. Well,
It's a fluid situation, but the MLB trade deadline was today. It's come and gone. Some teams got better. Some teams didn't do anything, and by default got worse. We're going to talk about that. And we are going to make our official Sports Hounds NFL predictions as well. Flyers on the brink of elimination as well. The Avalanche on the brink of elimination.
Bruins on the are on the brink of elimination as well.
Yes, but I believe they are winning. They are winning as we speak, I believe, Brad.
Who, the Bruins?
I think so.
Well, they should. This is their home. They're down 3-1, and this is their this is their home game where they get to do the lines. So, but based on the fact that
I apologize, I misspoke. Tampa Bay is up 1-0, not Boston.
No, boy. Well, you know what? I always say when you're down in a series like 3-1, scoring first is imperative. I mean, you have to score first because if the other team scores first, then it's a tremendous sag, and then they get into their game. And I just think Tampa Bay is too quick for Boston and has too many snipers on their team. And I've been saying it. I picked them to win the series when they were down 1-0. So, I mean, you can't say that I'm jumping on board. I've been picking Tampa Bay every year to win the Stanley Cup since you've known me.
Yeah.
So we can't. This is nothing new. But Tampa Bay, they're going to be tough. I'm a little disappointed with Colorado, but you know what? Grubauer is hurt. That's huge. When you're missing your number one goalie, I mean, it's hard to win. And last night, especially, Francois was not very good.
All right, so we're in unison on the poll. We don't think that the Eagles winning the NFC East is feasible right now, and I have to agree. Let's get us some comments here. Tommy Arnone's in the house. It's getting harder, but he still agrees with the poll. I mean, I'm just not there with this team. Maybe these injuries are too fresh in my head, but maybe I can get there.
It's going to be hard in
2 weeks.
I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are so even. They're so evenly matched. I do think 1 or 2 injuries can make the difference with these two teams. And right now, as we stand, the Cowboys are definitely a healthier team.
Everyone's healthier than the Eagles, which is usually the case in the NFL.
Well, the Giants aren't very healthy either. I got to tell you. I mean, they're not healthy either.
Steelers fan 1's in the house saying, "What's up? What's up, Steelers fan 1? Glad to have you."
Matt Spills, I appreciate your comment about my prediction about the Islanders in 6. That I do think the Flyers are going to win their next game. I can't imagine they're going to lose in 5. I do.
The Flyers are so frustrating, Brad, because the Flyers play 1 period good out of the 3.
Yeah, last night it was the second period.
No, because they scored first last night.
Last night they played well in the second period, especially the last 10 minutes of the second period. They skated the Islanders into the ice, but they were only able to get 1 goal because Grice stood on his head yesterday.
Varlamov is standing on his head too.
Yeah, he had the one bad game where he gave up 3 goals in the first period, and 2 of those 3 were definitely his fault. But I mean, we thought that the Flyers would have a big advantage with the goaltending, but it just hasn't happened. But getting back to the NFL, which is where we're at right now. I'm going to have to right now. I'm going to still take the Eagles because I can't pick the Cowboys. I can't stand the Cowboys. I mean, as much as I can't stand the Eagles, it's kind of like it's almost like watching the Islanders and the Flyers if you're a Ranger fan to see the Cowboys and the Eagles as a Giant fan, because these are 2 teams you can't stand. It's just I think I hate the Cowboys a little bit. I can't stand the Eagles, but I can't stand the Cowboys.
Yeah, because the Cowboys, their fans are cockroaches and jabronis.
Yeah, especially the ones that are around
and
here.
They're everywhere. And they only come out when they're like the Cowboys are going to start 5-0, score a bunch of points, and they're all going to.
But at least
like they were last year.
It's your home team, and I get that. And you're passionate about your your home team, and you guys live in Philly and you love your Eagles. That's cool. You should. That's what it's supposed to be. But people who live in Philadelphia or New York and you're Cowboy fans,
Yeah, they're scum.
You're
They're
full
scum.
of crap. Yeah, you're a Yankee fan and you're a Cowboy fan. I mean, you got to take your fan.
My favorite is the classic. My favorite, the classic Laker Cowboy Yankee combination.
Oh, that's just.
You're a Laker fan, a Cowboys fan, and a Yankee fan. Like,
well, you know what? To me, if you're a Cowboy,
where are you from? I'm from South Philly. Like,
if you're a Cowboy fan, if you're a Cowboy fan and you're a Yankee fan or a Philly fan, I'm revoking your fanship as a Yankee fan. You can't be a Yankee fan and a Cowboy fan. Sorry, you can be a Yankee fan and a Jet fan or a Giant fan. Even though most Yankee fans are Giant fans, sorry, your fan credit card is being revoked.
All right, Chrome's in the house. He agrees to the poll. He thinks the Eagles will win the East. I mean, the only saving grace they have is
that the Cowboys aren't that good.
For the Eagles to win the East, their defense is going to have to be top 10, and Carson Wentz is going to have to
get into that, Rob. Okay, and I know I got beat up by the family about my comments about Yannick. Okay, and then the Eagles didn't get him, and you have to pay the man, blah, 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 blah. And nobody wants to let me have a word in edgewise. But luckily, I have my own platform to get my word in edgewise, guys.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Yannick, okay? And you can tell me, well, we don't have enough money to pay him, blah, 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 and all this other crap. Listen, guys, he's 25 years old. He's one of the best, if not the best, defensive end in football. He gets more sacks than anybody else. This is a guy you build your team around. He's 25 years old. He's not even in his prime yet. Okay? You get rid of some of these old guys who are not that good anymore, and you replace them with younger players. This is a guy you build your defense around.
For a second and a fifth round pick.
For a second, yeah. It's not like they
gave up nothing.
They didn't give up 2 first-round picks like what the Jets got for Adams. Okay, a second, and I'm mad as hell at Dave Gettleman, because the Giants didn't get him for a second and a fifth. Now I understand the Giants stink, and their second-round pick is going to probably be, in the top 40. I get that, but you know what? We're trying to build a team.
Dave Gettleman can also draft.
He's a 25-year-old defensive end who gets a lot of sacks, okay? And he's one of the best in the game. He would have fit right in with our young team. And you know what? It's ridiculous. Nate Solder bounced, okay? He bounced because of the COVID virus. A couple of other guys bounced. We have $25 million now under the cap to spend. And the only thing we did was, we did make a nice move today to get the cornerback.
Logan Ryan.
Logan Ryan. He's a good player. I like him, okay? And he'll definitely help. But come on, guys. You're telling me you don't want to bring in a second and a fifth? You don't want to give up a second and a fifth for a guy like that?
I don't understand.
You know what? So you pay the man. Next season, you get rid of that stupid Jet that you got that you don't need, who's useless, Leonard Williams. I mean, you get rid of him too. The hell you need to be paying that slug $16 million for? You pay Yannick for God's sake. I mean, Dave Gettleman just pisses me off. And you know what? Harry should be pissing you guys off that he didn't try to get him either, because for that price, you get him.
We need our second round pick so we can draft more quarterbacks and have a QB factory, which I have a QB factory t-shirt.
Get
that at phillydrinkers.com, folks.
How stupid is this? So, all I'm going to say is this, okay? Right now, your defense is built around Fletcher Cox. How old is Fletcher Cox?
He's 30.
He's over 30.
He's been around. He's a veteran.
Okay, so you know what? Maybe it's time to get rid of him and make Yannick your guy, okay? And you pay him instead. And then you trade Fletcher Cox. And you get those draft picks back. and then already you're a younger team, and you got better play, and you got a better player.
It's well, I hate Howie Roseman.
Yeah,
I hate Howie Roseman. I think he's a mega dork.
And
He's a mega dork, and I hate his guts, and I hate that he didn't get involved with Yannick. I hate that he's not getting involved with Earl Thomas. Fournette got released today, and Fournette hasn't done anything in years. He'd help this football team.
Just I don't get it. That I was really surprised, to be honest with you, that Minnesota has a good enough defense to begin with. I mean, they're just going to
changes the landscape. Adding Yannick, they're going to be landscape of the NFC North.
They're going to be a miserable team to play against this year. I mean, they should easily win that division now. I mean, I think right now the Minnesota Vikings are hands down the best team in that division.
I would agree now.
Hands down. And you know what? That team has a pass rush now. They'll be good on the road, so it's not going to matter where they play.
Here's Cockroach right now, Harlem Cowboy. We haven't seen him since they lost to the Eagles in Week 16. We haven't heard from any Cowboys fans ever since they lost to the Eagles in Week 16 yet again when all the chips were down. That's the Eagles' only saving grace. Because I don't care who's injured. I don't care if me and you are out there for the Eagles against the Dallas Cowboys in December. Dallas is probably going to fold. And that crumb.
They will at some point. And Mr. $40 million man, has he signed yet, by the way?
Well, he signed his franchise tag.
So what is he making? $30 million?
Yeah. He is yet to not reach
what a colossal waste of money he is.
Well, he's probably going to have a good year this year, a career year. I would assume if he wants to make it the money he's demanding, he better have a career year.
Yeah, is he still not going to be able to pass outside the numbers because he doesn't have enough arm strength?
I mean, I guess we'll see this year.
Yeah, I mean, show me.
That can do some things for you.
Yeah, he can run.
He's not worth what he thinks he's worth, or what his agent thinks he's worth.
No, and he's not a top 5 quarterback. I mean, it amazes me how overrated this guy.
Like, here come the Cowboys fans already. With the Eagles are down with all their injuries. They're on their high horse. They're barking in the chat room. They'll probably start 4-1, 5-1, something like that. Score a bunch of points because they do have great receivers. I can't.
Oh yeah, they do.
I can't deny that. And Zeke is a monster. And they're going to be talking about their Super Bowl. Then all of a sudden they'll blink their eyes. It'll be mid-December and they're going to go 8-8. That's the Eagles' only saving grace with. But the Eagles better cover their ass because they need Carson Wentz to be an MVP candidate, and they need a top 10 defense if they're going to win this division because these injuries are piling up, and they're bad key injuries. Tom agrees with the poll. Chrome, 12,000, takeover talk. You're damn right. Shamar Doster, he's in the chat for the first time. Welcome, Shamar. Harlem Cowboys here. Mike drop talk. Logan Ryan to the Giants. It's a big pickup. That's from Tommy. Yeah, I like that pickup a lot. The Giants are on their way. I think the Giants maybe 6-7 games this year, and then next year maybe they.
I hope so, but I'm not too optimistic.
Well, what do you think about Daniel Jones as a Giants fan?
Oh, I love Daniel Jones. I think
if he goes into his third year, this is his second year. If he goes into his third year, aren't you optimistic that they can make a push in the NFC East?
Next year, not this season.
Not this year. Let Jones start the whole year. Maybe he'll have some games where he stinks. He's gonna have some games where he's good too. Maybe.
I thought last year. I don't really think he had any really bad games last year. I thought he played pretty well when he was in there. I mean, the only problem he has is that he fumbles too much. But you know what? That's something he can learn. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. I mean, he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He's very accurate. He's fast as hell. He's not that easy to tackle. The problem with him is that he's got to learn to throw the ball away. If it's not there, get rid of it. He's got to have that inner clock in his head to know, okay, you know what? Either I got to put the ball down and run, or I got to throw it away. Because he can't allow himself to keep getting hit and getting tackled and fumbling the football. That's the problem. That he can't be doing that.
Tom's ever seen a team banged up as much as the Eagles have been banged up, and I can't disagree with that at all. Chrome, how wild there's no preseason, and we're seeing even more injuries. Some of these injuries are fugazi. You know, some of these guys, they're just keeping them out of practice, keeping them rested for the regular season. Some of them are serious, but some of them aren't serious. Like Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, like that's not serious. They just want to give him a rest. Joe Mixon in Cincinnati with migraines as he works out a new contract.
Yeah, but those migraines will suddenly go away as soon as
as soon as he cashes the bonus check.
Exactly.
They cure get migraines, bonus check.
Yeah, it seems like $8 to $10 million bonus checks usually go away when you get a check like that.
Tom, our last 5 first-round picks are banged up. Yeah, I mean, this team doesn't draft well. When they do draft well, they get hurt. So,
well, again, we'll see. But you know what? The Eagles still have a really good defensive line. They have a really good defense. I mean, there's no getting around how good.
I'm excited to see the secondary.
Yeah, their defense.
You have to have a good secondary.
They have improved their defense by leaps and bounds, and somehow, I mean, if Wentz can stay on the field, he will make things happen. And somehow, the Eagles, even if they have to do it with smoke and mirrors for the first few weeks of the season, until some of these guys get back on the field, like Rager, for example, they'll find a way. I mean, I'm still going to pick them to win the division. Maybe I'm being a little unfair because I can't stand Dallas, but I think the Eagles are going to find a way to win the division. I think the Giants are going to come in third. I think that this year they will win one game against either the Cowboys or the Eagles. I think they will this year go 1-3 against them for the first time in 3 years. They'll win one of those games. I think they're still better than Washington, which probably isn't good for them because they don't get as good a draft pick. But I still think they're a little better than Washington as well. You go to the North Division. That North Division is loaded. So, a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about, Rob. Before we go back to football again, I want to get into a little trade deadline stuff.
Yeah. And Tom, just one more comment here. We'll get Tom. Do we have our special guest, Bob Chandler? Is he on the line?
I'm here.
Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Thanks for tuning in. Last minute, as you may have known, we tried to do something with Bob before the baseball season. Didn't work out. We're having technical issues. He's agreed to come on last second. San Diego Padres, Bob, they're the talk of the town in terms of Major League Baseball. They make a lot of moves, and you got to think they're one of the favorites.
And you were right on about Fernando Tatis because you were telling everybody who would listen that this guy is going to be one of the best players, if not the best player in the game. I mean, kudos for that.
Well, I think a lot of people agree with that now. I've seen every Padre player since they began in 1969, and he is the most exciting, most talented player I've ever seen, and that includes my buddies Tony Gwynn and Dave Winfield and Robbie Alomar.
Yeah, he is something else. And how about all these trades, Bob? I mean, we were thinking the Padres would be an improved team, but even before they started making all these trades, they were definitely an improved team. With some of the guys they picked up right now, I don't know if they can catch the Dodgers, but you know what? If I'm the Dodgers, I don't want to play them in the playoffs. I don't think anybody would want to play with Mike Clevenger as your number one pitcher. Tell us what you think about Mike Clevenger. What do the fans out there think about these moves?
Oh, San Diego's on fire. They really are. It's a shame that no fans can come to the ballpark. They'd be selling out every night. They had interviewed Clevenger on Zoom earlier today. And, my gosh, what a great advertisement. He said he's thrilled to come to San Diego, that every ball player he knows wants to play for the Padres. They're the most exciting team in the game right now. And, that's music to my ears. But they addressed all the weaknesses on the team so far with these trades, and they were able to do it because for 4 years, A.J. Preller, the general manager, has been building up the talent base, and now they are overflowing with really good young talent. They were able to keep the top 5-6 guys that they have rated, but
Which
they
is
traded
remarkable.
others.
That's remarkable. I mean, they gave up a lot of players, but none of their top. They didn't get rid of any of their top prospects, which is unbelievable that they were able to get to do that. I mean, really, I mean, full grades to Preller for doing that. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to do. Speaking with Clevenger, another guy who I'm very familiar with, being a Yankee fan, Mitch Moreland, who's very underrated, but he's a real good player. I know you got Hosmer playing first base, right? But is Mitch Moreland? Are they planning to make him the DH?
Yeah, pretty much. Although, ironically, you mentioned that Moreland is in the lineup tonight against the Rockies, and he's playing first base, and they're letting Hosmer have a day of rest and just be the designated hitter.
Yeah, well, I mean, Moreland was back in 2016. He was a Gold Glove, Bob, with Texas. So I mean, he's a tremendous player.
He gives the Padres a lot of options. You know, he is. I mean, A.J. Preller and the manager Jay Stingler were both with the Rangers organization for a long time, and one of the reasons they wanted to acquire Moreland, not only for his bat as a designated hitter, which is a huge upgrade from what the Padres have been getting in the DH position, but they liked his toughness and his experience in the postseason.
Now, Bob, they totally revamped the catcher position, it seems like. Austin Hedges goes to Cleveland in the Clevenger trade. You bring in Jason Castro from Los Angeles, and also Austin Nola comes in from Seattle. What's that catcher? They're going to do a little bit of a platoon there. What's going on with catcher for this team?
Well, the Padres, Austin Hedges is a terrific defensive catcher. If not the best in baseball, at least in the conversation. He was voted the best at framing pitches and that sort of thing. But unfortunately, he just didn't hit. I mean, he's hitting like 140 something. And the other catcher, Francisco Mejia, is injured, and he wasn't hitting either. So getting Nola, who's hitting over 300 with some power and a decent catcher, there's a huge upgrade in the offensive lineup. Castro is a really smart catcher, and so he will help with the defense. He'll be there in the pitcher-catcher meetings and so forth. They did. They totally revamped the catching spot. And one of their best prospects is a catcher named Luis Campuzano, which they refused to trade in any of these deals. But he's probably a couple of years away. So Nola and Castro hopefully will pull down the fort until he's ready.
Who's going to
now with Paddock? I mean, you got Paddock now. What is he? Your number 3 now?
You have to say Clevenger is the number one in terms of stuff. To Nelson Lamet, I think I may have mentioned to you when we talked before.
You did.
His stuff is as good as any pitcher in baseball. It really is. Close to 100 miles an hour on his fastball, an unhittable slider. So you got Clevenger, Lamet. You got Paddock is probably number 3. Then Zach Davies, who they acquired from Milwaukee, has been terrific. And then your number 5 guy is Justin Richards, who was a terrific pitcher for the Angels, had Tommy John surgery. The Padres gambled in signing him as a free agent, and he's the number 5 guy now. He's starting tonight in Denver.
What's going on? You mentioned Chris Paddock, because you did mention Dinelson Lamet as a potential breakout guy. You also mentioned Chris Paddock as well, and it doesn't seem like 2020 has really been working out for him, as it seems here on the East Coast. He's struggling to keep the ball in the yard. His strikeouts are there, and he's not really walking people. So, like, is this just like a funk that he's in, or what's going on with Chris Paddock?
Yeah, one of the strengths of his pitching is he's able to locate his fastball, and that's when he does that, he's a very effective pitcher. He did it last night, yesterday afternoon, and threw 6 innings without giving up any runs. He was the opening day pitcher and pitched 6 shutout innings on that occasion. But he ran into you're right. He ran into a stretch there of 2 or 3 games where he was not effective. They worked with him. And so hopefully they've got him back on track based on the way he pitched yesterday. He was really good yesterday.
And then he keeps pitching like that. I mean, you guys are going to have some pitching staff. I mean, what a great move that was. Rob and I couldn't get over the fact that San Diego was able to make 5 real good trades, and they really didn't get rid of anybody that was all that important to their farm system. They were able to keep. I think the high. What was the highest guy? 11. Their 11th prospect was the highest prospect they traded.
Yeah, because I think
Quantrell
left.
And some people rated him either the 5th or 6th best prospect. I don't think the Padres had him rated that high, but he's a terrific kid. You know, they did trade away a lot of guys who have a lot of talent. I mean, this is a loaded farm system right now. You just mentioned the starting pitching staff. Remember, their 2 best prospects are a left-handed pitcher named Mackenzie Gore and a right-handed pitcher named Luis Patino. Gore is still in the auxiliary group, but available to come at any time. And Patino is being used in relief as they sought to break him into the major leagues. But they both throw close to 100 with great stuff. So the Padres feel like they're really in good shape in the starting pitching thing. They really only had 4 good starters this year, though, and we're using the bullpen every 5th or 6th day was a bullpen day. But now they can avoid that. They exchanged the bullpen day with Clevenger. That's a pretty good upgrade.
Oh yeah. What about Rosenthal? Rosenthal. Wait a minute.
Trevor Rosenthal. They also traded for Trevor Rosenthal from Kansas City.
Yeah. What about him? I mean, he's really good, and he's having a real good year with Kansas City. What's the deal with Kirby Yates? Is he going to be back this year, or is it going to be Trevor's job to handle the closing ranks this year?
Yeah, I'm afraid Kirby Yates has probably thrown his last pitch for the Padres. He had surgery for bone chips in his elbow, and he was arguably among the 2 or 3 best closers in the game last year. And I think he had 41 saves. The Padres were counting on him this year, but he was having irritation in that elbow area. Didn't start off well, and now the surgery. So he's in his mid-30s. I would guess we won't see him again in San Diego. But the Padres spent a lot of money bringing in Drew Pomerance, a 4-year deal. And he's been terrific. He hasn't a lot of run yet. But he had a little fatigue in his arm and sat him down for 10 days. He's back now doing okay. But Rosenthal gives them a legitimate closer. And they still have Emilio Pagan, who they got from Tampa Bay, who's pretty good.
Yes, he is. I mean,
what's the buzz around San Diego? What's the buzz around the Padres fan base?
Think about it. This is a team that hasn't been in the playoffs since 2000.
We'd go crazy.
Fans are starved. They watch really bad baseball for a long time. And the Padres, they bit the bullet. And 4 years ago, they decided, okay, we're going to do what the Astros did, what the Cubs did, what the Phillies did, whatever. And so they just started rebuilding from the bottom up. They spent $80 million on young foreign talent 4 years ago. And now a lot of that talent is coming to the forefront. And because of that, they're able to make these trades. In addition, they've had good drafts, and they're in good shape with young players.
The one trade with the White Sox, though, I'll tell you what, Bob, that's the trade that has really set them up. The James Shields trade. Boy, oh boy. The White Sox must be kicking themselves. What would that team be like if they had Tatis right now? Holy smoke.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But they have a terrific shortstop in Tim Anderson. But this was a case where the White Sox had a chance to win the division, so they needed a veteran pitcher. They got Scott Shields, and the Padres had to pay a lot of the salary, and all they gave up in return was this skinny little 17-year-old kid prospect. Well, that's Fernando Tatis Jr., and now he's the best player in the game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you know what? You know who really looks like he's having fun playing again is Manny Machado. I mean, he just if you see the expression on his face, he had a hit yesterday, and I haven't seen him smile like that running around the bases in a long time. I mean, it's like when he was with Baltimore 4 years ago. The way he's looking right now. I mean, he's crushing the ball.
Well, he was just named the National League Player of the Week for the second week in a row. He's been on an incredible streak. But he is inspired by Tatis. You're right about that. I mean, Tatis at short and Machado at third. I mean, that might be the best in the game. There are other good combinations, but that's a darn good one. And let's mention one other guy the Padres kind of fell into. They made a deal with Tampa Bay to get Tommy Pham to be their left fielder. And thrown in on the deal was this utility guy who could also pitch named Jake Cronenworth. He's turned out to be a gem. He's probably going to be the National League Rookie of the Year. He's the starting second baseman. He's hitting around 360. He's not hasn't had enough at bats to qualify for their batting league, but he will in a couple of days. And he has just been terrific. Turns the double play. He's got great range. He hits with power. He's really been something. He was a star at the University of Michigan, and I'm not sure where Tampa Bay drafted him, but the Padres are delighted to have him along with Pham. Unfortunately, Pham is injured, and maybe we'll be back for the playoffs if the Padres make it, and they should make it now.
I think, is it fair to say that they're the second best team in the National League right now?
It might be. I mean, I can't say the Padres are as good as the Dodgers yet. I mean, the Dodgers, they have great baseball people in their organization, and they have unlimited resources. They have a phenomenal team.
Right.
I think the Padres can play with them now. They've played 7 games against each other this year, and the Dodgers have won 4. The Padres have won 3. They're 5 games behind the Dodgers in the division now, and they only have 3 games left against the Dodgers the rest of the season.
Yeah, but they could be in the playoffs, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would take a total collapse for the Padres not to make the playoffs now. And you mentioned that teams wouldn't want to play them. I think you're right. They are a very dangerous team. They, for the first time in a long time, I can say legitimately that they are a World Series contender. And if you have Fernando Tatis in your team, you always have a chance.
Bob, what do you see outside of the National League West in terms of the National League? You know, we got my Phillies in the East. They're battling with the Braves and the Miami Marlins. They trade for Starling Marte today. You have the Central, which doesn't really strike me as being that good. Just talk about, you know, outside the NL West and what you see and who do you think are contenders outside of the Dodgers, outside of the Padres?
Yeah, well, in the East, you have to like the Braves, and you have to like. I mean, the Phillies haven't done as well as I thought they would, and then neither have the Mets, but they're all still in it. And in the Central, well, the Cubs are leading, but the Cardinals missed so many games because of the virus, and the Cardinals are always dangerous. You know, they're the times the Padres have made the playoffs in the last 15 years, they've lost to the Cardinals every time.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Yeah, you're right about that.
Now, I thought the Yankees were a powerhouse in the American League, but my gosh, they just can't keep their 2 slugging outfielders healthy. But they still have Garrett Cole, and they still have LeMahieu, and they still have a lot of really good players. And if they get healthy enough, I mean, they can beat anybody.
What do you make of them not doing anything at the deadline? The Yankees, surprisingly, at least in my opinion, silent at the trade deadline. I think GM and Brian Cashman, they have a pretty good farm system. Why not go for it if you're the Yankees? I mean, you're battling with Tampa Bay pretty hard. Tampa Bay seems to do this every year with no budget. So why not go for it like the Padres did if you're the Yankees?
Well, you know, I'm not as close to the Yankee situation as you guys are there, but I mean, it just seems to me that they just need to get their players healthy, and if they do, they're right there. Although Tampa Bay plays them pretty tough, don't they? Tampa Bay is an awful good team.
Tampa Bay has owned them this year, but I will say this, you know, the Yankees haven't played Tampa Bay with a healthy team yet, and you know, hopefully. It doesn't seem like Judge and Stanton are going to be out for the rest of the season. We would expect that the Yankees can play better than Detroit, who seems to be the only team that could really knock them out of the playoffs. I mean, if they're in the playoffs and you have Judge and Stanton and you have Gleyber Torres, and by the way, Gleyber was running the outfield today, so that's good news for the Yankees. I still think the Yankees can beat anybody at any time in the American League. You know. But they're going to need all their guys to be healthy because this Tampa Bay team, they may not have the most talent in the league, but it just seems like, you know, if they get a runner in scoring position, they always get them in. You know, and guys who you don't expect to hit home runs, hit home runs. You know, just remarkable what they're able to do. I mean, they're bombing Cole tonight, which is I never would have thought that would happen yet again. Cole's out of the game. I mean, what inning is it? It's the 6th inning. Cole got knocked out in the 5th inning, and it's 4-0.
Wow.
So I mean,
wow, is that 2 in a row for Cole where he didn't pitch well?
Yeah, I mean, Cole's ERA is probably about close to 4 now. I think when he got knocked out, it went all the way up to 3.94. So, and the last two beatings were at the hands of the Rays. I'm sorry. His last 3 games, he's been beaten up by the Rays, the Braves, and now the Rays again. So, I mean, it's three very bad games in a row for him.
Boy, pitching for that Yankee team, you just assume that he might go unbeaten this year.
Well, is that something the Yankees should be concerned about? I mean, they haven't used it. They've barely used Chapman. Cole has not been sharp. He's had his moments, but like we said, the last 3 haven't been sharp. I'm concerned about the Yankees and some of these stars that are not getting going.
Yeah. Well, Oakland is a team to watch out for, and in the Central in the American League, I don't know, Cleveland. I'm not sure.
What do you think about Mike Minor? Do you think he's going to? I mean, he's been awful all season, and then he has one good game against the Dodgers, and Oakland goes and brings him in. I mean, I don't know. Mike Minor has not had a good year this year. I mean, do you think that's really going to help him?
Well, it just depends, if he pitches for them the way he pitched against the Dodgers, because that's a terrific lineup the Dodgers have.
Yes, it is.
Maybe he's turned it around. I don't know. He pitched against the Padres, and he did well for about 4 or 5 innings, and then the Padres got to him, and he didn't look like the same Mike Minor we'd seen before. But it was like he was going through spring training. They were still developing his arm. So I don't know. That's one to keep your eye on. I mean. We're so late in this abbreviated season anyway. He's only going to have like maybe 4 or 5 starts for Oakland.
Right.
Well, Bob, we appreciate you jumping on. Short notice. We're excited. Even here on the East Coast, we recognize what the Padres are doing. They're very excited. They're a very exciting team. I did pick them to win the National League in our preseason prediction show. So AJ Preller certainly doing his part in making me look smart.
And we all like the Padres here, so we're all rooting for them and pulling for them.
Well, they even changed their uniforms and they look good now.
Well, anyway, we appreciate you coming on. Maybe we can do something again during the playoffs once the San Diego Padres inevitably clinch. Maybe a possible National League playoff series between my Phillies and your Padres. Should be a lot of.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? And listen, you guys are fun to talk to. You obviously know what you're talking about. You ask good questions, and anytime you want me, I'm happy to come on.
We appreciate that, Bob.
It's an honor, sir. It really is.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Bob.
Okay, thanks.
Now, for the people out there who don't know who Bob Chandler is, and it's understandable, we're over here in the East Coast. And Bob's all the way out there in the West, and the Padres, they're on late. You got work in the morning. We get it. This man is the Harry Kalas equivalent for the San Diego Padres. I know Harry Kalas is no longer with us, but what Bob means to the San Diego Padres and that fan base out there is equal to what Harry Kalas meant for for the Philadelphia fan base.
He was a broadcaster there.
Here's what he's talking about. Pretty much everything he said to us before the baseball season started about the Padres has come true.
Yeah, he warned you all about how good this team was going to be. He told you guys Tatis was going to be probably the best player in the game. You know what? And we were like, well, he seems like a good young player. He was right on. Everything he said about the Padres has been right on the money. I mean, that's a scary team.
And I'm sorry we had a spur of the moment. We were able to get Bob Chandler after all the moves the Padres made. We talk about all the sports here. We talk about all the teams here. We got shows that are exclusively Philly. We got shows that are national. We got shows that talk about soccer. We got shows that talk about MMA. We got absolutely everything here at AZ. We appeal to everyone in the world, not just the country, the world. That's why the takeover is real. That's why ATD was here to stay.
We felt since the Padres made the most moves today.
I mean, they made 5 trades in 3 days.
We wanted to bring you Mr. Padre, because that's what he's considered out there. The man was a broadcaster there for 34 years on TV. So when we talk about him being Mr. Harry Callis, he's like the Phil Rizzuto of the Yankees. I mean, it's the same thing, guys. I mean, he's one of those old-time broadcasters, and I mean, nobody knows the Padres better than this guy. So, I mean, I hope you enjoyed his interview. He's a nice guy. Hope, if the Padres get in the playoffs, we'll certainly bring him back for you.
We're way behind on the comments, and I'm sorry, but I mean, that was just an opportunity that was too good to pass up. But I want to stay on the baseball track here because, don't look now, Brad, but the Phillies are red hot. I know they lose on Sunday Night Baseball. They end up losing 12-10. They go down 10-0 in the second. They fight back. They make it a game.
The Phillies are playing good baseball right now.
They did take 2 or 3 from the first place Atlanta Braves, and they're up 6-2 on the Washington Nationals right now. Pitching prospect Spencer Howard, he goes 5. I'm on the Yankees box score now. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs. It's now 6-3. So the bullpen is right on point. It looks like giving up runs, and you have Atlanta who's tied with Boston 2-2. If the Nationals that are 12-19, the Marlins continue to be a pain in the ass. They beat the Mets today 5-3. They beat DeGrom, and they add Starling Marte, who I think Starling Marte, he's a good enough player to make a difference down the stretch for the Marlins. So,
he's a really nice player, and the Marlins desperately needed a bat to put in the middle of that lineup, and Marte is just the guy for them. I mean, it was a little strange they went and they traded Villar, but then like maybe 5 minutes after they traded Villar, then they went and they brought Marte in. I was kind of hoping the Yankees would bring in Marte, and I got to tell you, Rob, I am really very disappointed that Brian Cashman once again did nothing at the trade deadline. Nothing, and this is 2 years in a row. And the prospect hugging is getting to a point now where the Yankees won't improve, and they're not bringing up guys who are really making a big difference these days. Not now. Listen, yesterday, Davey
Garcia pitched well yesterday.
Davey Garcia pitched really well yesterday. I'm not saying that you should be trading him, okay? But the Yankees have what's considered a pretty good farm system. What the hell is going on that we don't bring anybody back? I mean, last year you allowed Zach Greinke to go to Houston, and guess what? Houston ended up beating you in the playoffs because Greinke beat Tanaka. Okay? I mean, it's getting a little bit ridiculous. This team needs another bat. They needed another reliever, and they could really have used another starter, and you do nothing. So I'm gonna tell you right now, if the Yankees do not get to the playoffs and do some major damage, and at least be very, very competitive in the LCS, and I'm not talking about losing in 5 games, okay? I'm talking about, if they lose in 7 games, I can live with that. But if they don't at least get to that point, Cashman's got to go, because you know what? He's prospect hugging to a point now where you can't
relax a little bit. You're the New York Yankees. You're in the ALCS every year. You're gonna fire your GM
if he's not making moves to improve the team. I mean, what has he done to improve the team? I
think you're being a little hard on Cashman. I think
Is Cole. Let me ask you a question, okay? Was Cole a no-brainer? How many brain cells do you need to bring in a guy like Cole?
You're right.
I mean, come on, that was a no-brainer. What has he done in the last couple of years to get this team over the hump? Nothing.
To his credit, I mean, he did try and bring in James Paxton, which hasn't worked out very well.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to second guess that trade, because you know what, I was in favor of that, and I still think Paxton could be a big help. Paxton pitched well last year for them. He pitched well in the playoffs. I mean, okay, he got off to a bad start, but you know what? He pitched well when it mattered. And this year, you know what? I mean, he had the injury. He was coming back. He looked like he was starting to come around, and then he gets hurt again. He's supposed to be back in 2 weeks, so hopefully they can get him ready for the playoffs. The starting pitching hasn't been all that bad the last, even during the losing streak. It hasn't been the starting pitching that's been the problem. it's the bullpen every night. Somebody different.
Oh, welcome to the club here. I mean, I'm watching the Phillies box score right now. It's 6-4 now. Embry,
Well, it wasn't supposed to
Boston.
be like we're supposed to have a quality bullpen. I mean, Adam Ottavino comes in and blows it one day. Chad Green blows 2 in a row. Chapman blows one. I mean,
I thought you were gonna have a conniption when you lost that doubleheader to the Mets.
Oh, I was pretty upset. Yeah,
I thought you were really gonna blow a gasket. You stayed relatively calm.
Well, I did have a few hashtag fire Boone's going on, but I mean,
you have fire Boone. I don't think he's that great of a manager.
I think Boone's one of the worst managers in the game. He wins.
I don't understand how you can go from a great manager like Joe Girardi. That's what Joe Girardi is. He's a great manager. I know the Phillies season. The Phillies are underachieving based on my expectations for this baseball team.
Yeah, but it's not his fault.
Girardi's fault.
He'll make the right decision. He'll do what he has to do. Listen, how many managers would have the balls to pinch hit Alex Rodriguez and put in Raul Ibanez as a pinch hitter?
And Ibanez hit a home run.
And then Ibanez hits a home run. He hits 2 home runs in a playoff game.
Ties the game and wins the game.
Yeah. In the 9th inning, he ties it, and then he wins it in the 10th. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Joe Girardi will do what he thinks is best for the team. Now, sometimes he may make you scratch your head, but you know what? He will do what's best for the team.
But he doesn't. He uses his brain and his insight rather than a computer. And I believe you've touched on it. Got him in trouble in New York.
He does like the binder. We did joke about the binder a lot, but the thing is, Joe Girardi would surprise you once in a while, and you'd see a double steal. You see you'd see a little hit and run once in a while. Aaron Boone never double steals. He doesn't. I mean, yesterday, the perfect example. Yankees are down 4-2, and Tyler Wade gets a single. Tyler Wade is one of the fastest guys in baseball, and he's not running. He never ran one. He never.
Why not go make something happen?
I mean, yeah, and then I think Luke Voigt ended up hitting into a. I mean, I think LeMahieu made an out, and then Voigt hits into a double play. I mean, come on, what the heck? I mean, this is a perfect example. And then he'll watch a relief pitcher get bombed, and he won't take him out. He'll just let him stay in and absorb the beatdown instead of trying to keep yourself in the game and bring in another pitcher. I mean, yesterday was kind of shocking because in the 8th inning of the second game, he puts in Holder. Holder breezes through the 7th. Then in the 8th inning, he starts running into trouble because he's getting tired because, he's a 1-inning pitcher. And he waited until the bases were loaded with 2 outs and Wilson Ramos is up to bring in another pitcher, and it was Sessa. And Sessa made a great pitch to strike him out to win the game. But I mean, it never should have come down to that. And this is an example of what I'm talking about with Boone. The Severino fiasco against Boston in 2018, when Severino didn't go to the bullpen to warm up because Boone's too busy with his photo ops and pregame interviews to make sure Severino had enough time to warm up. That was stupidity number 1. Then last year, game 6, you have runners on 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs, and Jose Altuve is up. Okay, and on deck is Jake Marisnick. And he doesn't have Chapman walk him and pitch to Marisnick. Instead, he lets Chapman pitch to Altuve. And to be honest with you, I was more angry about that than the buzzer because you know what? It made no sense. Aaron Boone's a terrible manager. So any Yankee fans that want to sit here and argue with me about how great he is because he won 100 games, I could manage that team and win 100 games with the
It's
talent.
not really, yeah.
I mean, come on. You have Judge.
He had injuries, but then you have Gio Urshela come out of nowhere. He bats .330.
Right. DJ LeMahieu hits 3.
Hit a grand slam home run with DJ LeMahieu coming over. I mean, DJ LeMahieu was a good player in Colorado, but I don't think any Yankees fan can sit there and look me in the face and say that they thought he was going to be this good as a Yankee coming over.
He's tremendous. I mean, he's a superb player. I mean, the whole thing with Boone is lost, and he doesn't. He's more worried about, and I don't know if this is. I don't know if it's Cashman or if it's Boone, they're resting these guys all the friggin' time. I mean, it makes no sense. You can't keep doing that. I mean, there's too many. There's not enough games left to be resting guys. It makes no sense that he continuously does this. I mean, I can understand resting guys for double headers, but this business with him, and I mean, perfectly another example against the Braves. And I know Judge got hurt, okay, but Judge is coming off an injury. Why is he in the outfield? He just comes off an injured calf, and you throw it. You rest him in the first game, and then you put him in the outfield in the second game. Okay, why not DH him in both games? Okay, I mean, he ends up getting an injury he re-injures his calf running to second base. Now I realized he was hitting when that happened, but the point is he was out in right field. He weakened his calf, and then it ends up getting pulled again. So I mean, it's the whole point is that he should have been DHing, and this is the kind of crap that I'm watching with Aaron Boone that makes me nuts. That makes me hashtag fire Boone all the time. I don't think he knows what he's doing. But that's my opinion.
Again, and taking it on the chin.
Well, they're taking it on the chin.
Yankees taking it on the chin again. Now,
right. Oh, I don't blame. Listen, I'm not going to blame him.
Now
Cole has. Yeah, I'm not going to blame him for Cole. Playing home run derby with the Rays today. I mean, that's not his fault. But I mean, I can't blame him for this. But I mean, the Yankees not hitting. Part of the problem is he absolutely refuses to bunt ever. God forbid. Other than Luke Voit right now, this team is basically a singles hitting team. You have to bunt. You have to hit and run. You have to steal. You have to do whatever you have to do to scratch some runs. You don't have your three. Right now you don't have Judge. You don't have Stanton. You don't have Gleyber Torres. These are your three best hitters, arguably. Okay, they're definitely your three best sluggers. Okay, LeMahieu is a great hitter, but he's not a slugger. You have your three best sluggers on the DL right now. You can't go in and try to win every game with a 3-run homer, and that's why the Yankees have been losing games since DJ LeMahieu went on the disabled list a couple of weeks ago. Now he's back, and they won those 3 games against the Mets. But you know what? They're going to have a tough time with Tampa Bay until they get these guys back.
Well, Brad, I want to ask you about Toronto as well. Toronto made some moves today.
Yes, they did, and I thought they made some really good moves.
I think Bo Bichette being back in the lineup is imminent. They get Jonathan Villar, who can really run, and was having.
And he can also play all over the infield. I mean, I'll tell you,
everywhere. He's got great speed. He can hit a little bit.
Oh, he can hit a lot. He can hit a lot, actually. He's very good.
They get Robbie Ray from
that.
Arizona.
I'll tell you what, that doesn't scare me at all. Robbie Ray.
No, I don't think. Ray, I mean, it's a 4th or 5th starter. He's to strike guys out at the very least. Maybe they put him in the bullpen for the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? If you have a guy that's been around and has great stuff, but and nobody seems to be able to fix him, what makes
he's a 4.5 ERA guy every year? Yeah, he's probably not that good.
What do you think is going to happen when he goes to Toronto? It's not like he's going to suddenly magically have a 2 ERA and be a dominant pitcher. We've
seen it before. Look at your boy Sonny Gray.
Well, Sonny Gray couldn't handle New York, but he was really good in Oakland.
And he's good in Cincinnati.
He just couldn't handle New York. Some guys are like that, unfortunately. It happens like that. Starting to wonder a little bit about Cole. Nah. Cole always seems to, from what I've understood, Cole always seems to get off to slow starts and then usually picks it up. Unfortunately, this year it's only a 60-game schedule, so he's going to have to pick it up in time for the playoffs. Because if he's going to pitch like that in the playoffs, I don't know how the Yankees could beat anybody. To be quite honest with you, unless they get all their sluggers back and are healthy. But from what I'm hearing, Stanton is at least 2 weeks away. Judge is probably 3 weeks away, and Torres, who knows? Maybe by the end of next week. hopefully they get Britton back, because they're definitely going to need him as well. So we'll see what happens.
And then the Phillies, they're sort of active. They get David Phelps.
They made a couple of nice moves. I always like. Listen, Phelps is a Girardi favorite, so we just to let you know, Girardi has always loved that guy, and he's always done a pretty good job. Did the Phillies get anybody else?
No. I mean, they got Workman and Embry from Boston about a week ago, and they got Phelps today.
Well, that's 3 guys. That's 3 decent bullpen pieces. So, I mean, listen, do they have –
they're going to have Neres, and Vince Velasquez is in the bullpen now. So,
well, they have – but you know what the thing is? They have some power arms out there.
I think that the big story from a National League standpoint outside the Padres, Brad, is Atlanta didn't do anything.
Yeah, I really thought they were going to get a starting pitcher.
Well, I woke up to rumors of Lindor going there for Dansby Swanson and Marcell Ozuna, which scared the hell out of me.
From what I heard,
that didn't happen.
Well,
they didn't add a starter. They didn't add any bullpen guys. They didn't add anyone to the lineup, which they're still a cleanup hitter from being a real contender, in my opinion.
I was watching MLB this morning, and who was it? Who was it that was
what?
Rosenthal, that guy Rosenthal
with the bow tie.
Yeah. He had reported that Francisco Lindor is absolutely going nowhere. He's not getting traded.
Okay.
He came up with that at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he also said, and Trevor Bauer is absolutely not going anywhere either. So when I heard that, I was like, well, you know what? It sounds like, the one trade, a couple of things that I don't understand, and maybe somebody can explain to me. Why didn't the Rangers get rid of Lance Lynn?
I don't know.
And why didn't the Red Sox try to get rid of J.D. Martinez? If they're trying to rebuild, I mean,
Lance Lynn, it seemed like they decided pretty early in the afternoon that they weren't trading him. They trade Mike Minor, and they keep Joey Gallo as well.
Well, Joey Gallo, I understand. I would pay Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is a tremendous hitter. I mean, I know he strikes out a lot, but you know what? If he's going to hit 40 home runs, I don't care if he strikes out 200 times. 40 home runs is 40 home runs. There's not that many. They're not a dime a dozen to get 40 home run guys. I mean, most guys who hit that many home runs strike out a lot. Who cares? That guy's a tremendous player, so I can understand them keeping him, and they should pay him. But I mean, if they see, here's the thing, Rob, and of course, you and I don't know what they were being offered. So that's the one thing that that's the one.
Look, maybe they're going to pay Lance Lynn and keep him around for a couple of more years.
Well, he's going to be there.
They were getting lowballed because he's only going to be a rental for the Yankees or the Phillies or the Braves.
He's going to be there next year. He's signed for one more year after this year.
Okay, I thought he was a free agent at the end of this year.
No,
sure about that?
I'm thinking, if they got all those guys for Clevenger, right? Why wouldn't they be able to get? Why wouldn't the Rangers be able to get a haul similar to that? So I mean, the guy isn't going to be available for next year too. That's what I don't understand. And then the Red Sox, who are dumping all these guys, why not try to trade Martinez to a contender? I mean, boy, you're telling me he wouldn't be good on a National League team right now?
Yeah, like the Braves, the Braves, the Nationals. I mean, the Phillies don't really need him, but
no, the Phillies would. But I'll tell you what, the Nationals, he would have been perfect on the Nationals. I mean, he's only got 2 more years left on his contract. You get him for 2 years, for 2 more years. I mean, and the guy's a slugger. I mean, and he could hit between Soto and Robles and some of those other guys and Turner. I mean, that it just doesn't make sense why the Red Sox wouldn't have traded him. I mean, they seem to be wanting to rebuild, and they want to rebuild around Bogarts. Which, okay, that's fine, but they didn't trade Jackie Bradley either, which I don't get it. I don't get what that team's doing at all.
Well, the problem that they have, and I've said it before on this program, is that they completely overvalued Andrew Benintendi. I don't think he's that good, Brad.
No, they
thought that he was going to evolve into the next Mookie Betts, so to speak. So they thought it was okay to trade Mookie Betts, save some money, sign Bogarts, sign Devers when they have to, and then have Benintendi. And, you kind of figure out the pitching staff from there. Obviously, Chris Sale getting Tommy John surgery. Obviously, they didn't plan for that. So that set him back a little bit. But
no, they didn't. And they didn't.
Over-evaluation of Andrew Benintendi has killed them.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, they've got some young players. I mean, Chavis, I think I like Chavis. I like the catcher.
I love Verdugo too. I mean, Verdugo is not Mookie Betts, and unfortunately for Verdugo, that's how he's always going to be. He's always going to be compared to Mookie Betts because that's who he got traded for,
right?
Which isn't fair at all.
No,
but I mean, Verdugo is a good player. He's got a good approach to hitting. I think he's going to hit leadoff for a long time in Boston. I really do.
Yeah, the problem for Boston is that their pitching staff is in tatters. They let Price go, which I don't know if that's good or not. Unfortunately, Sale gets Tommy John. Eduardo Rodriguez has COVID, and Eovaldi keeps getting hurt. Which has been Eovaldi's career. He's always getting hurt.
That was a horrible contract.
Yeah,
$78 million, something like that.
No, I think it was 4 years, $64 million. But I mean, you're going to give him $15 million? No, $68 million. It was $17 a year for 4 years. I mean, for an 80 of Eovaldi, I mean listen. They did win a world championship, and you got to give them credit for that. But I don't really understand what they're doing right now. It's very, very strange. Very, very strange. But the Toronto Blue Jays, they were another big winner today. Got to tell you, I do like what they're
doing. I mean, they have a ginormous hole in their everyday lineup with Bichette out, but Kevin Biggio, son of Craig Biggio, basically they took all the stars that I grew up watching when I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Basically, they got all their sons and are going for it. Vlad Guerrero.
Right. And they got
Biggio.
And they got Lourdes Gurriel, who is Yuli's brother from Houston. His younger
brother. They're a bloodlines team, and it's working out for him.
And Teoscar Hernandez is a nice player too.
I'm telling you, if they can tap into Robbie Ray's potential and get him straightened out, they got a chance to win a playoff series.
You know what? That a lot of that. I mean, Ryu is back to being himself again, which is, not all that great. I'm still not convinced about their starting pitcher. I mean, that one guy. What's his name? Pearson.
Yeah, he's a prospect.
Yeah, but he's hurt though.
Right.
So I mean that
really, saying he's like a can't miss guy.
Yeah,
so
but him getting injured, that really hurts them this year, and I don't know what his status is and when he's coming back. But I mean, that hurts if that guy isn't available to pitch. I mean, the Blue Jays are going to make the playoffs. Make no mistake about that. They're pretty much a shoo-in to make the playoffs. I mean, the American League, for the most part, really, we've already got our 8 teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and unless the Detroit Tigers continue to play at above 500 for the rest of the season, which I don't think is going to happen. I think your 3 teams in the Central, your top 3 in the AL East, and your 2 teams in the American League West. The Rangers, the Astros and the A's, the Twins, the White Sox, and
White Sox are pretty good, man.
Yeah, I know they are. And as a matter of fact,
Colomé lights out.
Yeah, Giolito had a no-hitter the other day. I mean, the White Sox
has been awesome. Jimenez has been awesome.
Don't the White Sox lead the league in runs scored right now? I believe.
I would have to look that up, but they have a potent offense.
I think other than San Diego and the Dodgers, I think who are the highest scoring team.
The Dodgers are playing wiffle ball.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're playing great, and they're
Bellinger and Betts and Muncy and Justin Turner and they have everybody.
Yeah, and you know what? They don't have guys that get hurt all the time either. So I mean, that doesn't hurt. But that team is loaded, and we knew they would be. But hats off to the San Diego Padres, and I really to have Bob Chandler on, I thought was a nice little present for you fans out there. He's he's an expert when it comes to the San Diego Padres, and if you guys were wondering about the Padres, I think you guys all know now exactly what's going on in San Diego. That is a very good team, and that is an incredibly strong farm system, and they got plenty of money to throw around because they're not really paying all that many people right now. I think the only guys they're paying are Hosmer and Myers, right?
Well, I mean, they gave Machado a great deal.
Okay, I forgot about Machado. Okay, but
I mean, these guys. Paddock and Pomerance. He makes $10 million a year, but it's only for 3 years.
Yeah, he's not signed well. Matt, listen, Machado is worth every dime. I think we can all agree about that.
I can't even imagine how much money Tatis Jr. is going to be getting.
Yeah, but they got him for 7 years. They got him for what, another 6 years.
Did they sign?
When they brought him in, he didn't play at the beginning of when they brought him in up last year. They waited till after April to bring him up. So his time clock didn't start until this year. So I mean, okay. He's kind of like he did what the Yankees did with Gleyber Torres and what the Cubs did with Chris Bryant.
And I don't think Will Myers is making any type.
Now, he's making some money, but I mean, him, Hosmer, and Manny are really the only guys that are making big money on that team right now. They can definitely, go out and pay and bring in another guy if they wanted to. I mean, can you imagine if they picked up Trevor Bauer in free agency next year?
Yeah,
and put him on top with put him with Clevenger, and then the rest of all those young players. Oh boy, I mean they're a scary team out there. And all you fans need to watch out for Mr. Tatis because Tatis is one of the best players in baseball.
Now we're looking at the Phillies now. The Phillies go up 8-4. Don't look now, folks, but Rhys Hoskins, who I've crushed on this very program time and time again because I don't think he's that good. He's on fire, Brad.
Well, he's bound to start hitting. I mean,
Can this team make a run? Can this team make the playoffs, Brad? The Phillies,
I think they'll make the playoffs. They're one of the top 8 teams in the National League. I mean that should not be a problem for them. And you and I both agreed that they may have to bash their way into the playoffs. They're very capable of bashing their way into the playoffs. They just for whatever reason they seem to offensively go into these funks. And yeah, the starting pitching may not be quite good enough yet. But you can pretty much count on getting a decent performance out of Nola, and you can pretty much count on getting a decent performance out of the guy who did they get for the Mets again? Wheeler.
Oh, Wheeler. He's been spectacular.
Yeah. So I mean, you're going to get 2 good performances, every time they're out there, and with all the guys they have now in the bullpen, I mean, Girardi has a nice little selection, and if you let Girardi run his bullpen and don't start telling him what to do, Joe knows how to handle relief pitchers. He's very good at handling bullpens. I think that the Phillies are going to be okay.
Right. Well, they're up 8-4 now. It's the top of the 8th inning. So, Tommy Hunter's in the game right now. So who really knows? He's been okay since a really bad start to the season, but boy, it'd be really embarrassing for this team to miss the playoffs when it's expanded like this, and it's
they're not gonna miss the playoffs. That's not gonna happen. Gio Urshela just hit a bomb for the Yankees to put them on the board, so it's now 5-1. But the Yankees have a long way to go.
Don 19. Don't sleep on the Tigers. Yeah, I'm sleeping on the Tigers, Don. I respect your Detroit sports fandom, but the Tigers stink and they're years away. I was surprised. Jonathan Scope didn't.
Well, they seem to think Detroit really didn't. Detroit didn't do anything.
Didn't really do anything. I was surprised. I was surprised the contender didn't bite on Scope. because he's I think he's got 8 or 9 home runs right now. So I was surprised that Scope didn't get traded to.
I've always liked him. I always picked him on my fantasy teams. I mean, I always liked him. He kind of was always let me down though, personally. So, but I've always liked Jonathan Scope. I always thought he was a good player. So, the only thing with Detroit, I mean, I think that if it was a real season, and not the kind of season that they're having this year, where it's 60 games, Detroit would be well on their way to oblivion like they've been the last 2 years. But they're a better team now. They're getting better, but I don't think that they're going to be over 500. I can't imagine that that's going to happen. Their pitching staff, although young and improved, is still not quite good enough.
Yeah, Bob Brink, but the Phillies game isn't a wrap yet. Top, we're up 4, so like we're gonna strap in our seatbelts and hope for the best here. I would make them 15-15 through 30 games.
Listen, the Mets pulled the Phillies yesterday against the Yankees. Did you hear about that one?
Bullpen blew it.
The Mets were
Tans threw the wild pitch.
Well, that was Saturday's game. Yesterday may have been the all-timer because, and you know how bad the Yankees lineup is right now with all the guys they're missing. That's where it had 7-2 in the bottom of the 7th inning, and the Yankees scored 5 runs to tie it, and then in the 8th inning, they won it.
I mean, couldn't happen to a nicer team. I hate the fucking Mets.
And guess
the Phillies had a game like that against the Toronto Blue Jays. They're up 7-1, and then all of a sudden they lost 8-7.
I bet you can't guess which relief pitcher on the Mets blew that game.
Was it Diaz?
Now there you must have been watching.
I didn't even watch it, and I know the answer. They stink. They stink. The Nationals stink too, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I think the Phillies are going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to do some damage in the playoffs. No question about it. No question about it.
All right.
Well, I want to get to the Flyers and talk a little Flyers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, I made a prediction, which I'm sure got me in trouble with the family again, because I always seem to get in trouble with you guys whenever I pick against Philadelphia.
You lash out because you tell the truth and you're from New York.
Yeah, but I kind of told you that they were going to have a big problem with the Islanders because the Islanders own them during the season, and they're owning them again in the playoffs. And unfortunately, Alain Vigneault, he's a good coach, and he loves the stretch pass. But you know what? The Islanders, when they do that stretch pass all the time, they're playing right into the Islanders' hands because the Islanders know that. They have a coach that knows how to stop that play. And the Flyers are having a hell of a time establishing any kind of an offense. Because Alain Vigneault does not like to just take the puck, throw it in, have his guys grind, stand in front of the net, and try to set it up and get some dirty goals. Alain Vigneault always likes to have beautiful goals, which is great, but it's hard to win in the playoffs doing that against a real good defensive team like the Islanders. And that seems to be the problem. And I've been saying it for a while now. I think the Flyers need a sniper. If they're going to win the Cup, they got to get a sniper on their team. I mean, if you remember back when the Flyers did win the Stanley Cup, they had a sniper on the team. His name was Reggie Leach. And I mean, okay, he wasn't a sniper on the first team. They didn't really have the big sniper on the first team, but they did have a Hall of Fame center by the name of Bobby Clark, and they had Bill Barber, who was one hell of a player too. I mean, the Flyers need to go out, and I don't know who they're going to get, but they need to go out, and I think they need to talk to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Flyers are loaded with real good defensemen. I think talk to the Maple Leafs about getting one of those, getting either Nylander or Marner or what. They're obviously not going to get Matthews because there's no way on God's green earth that the Leafs would ever trade him. But they need to talk to Toronto. Toronto right now is in salary cap hell, and they need a defenseman, and they need one quickly because if they don't get a defenseman, they could be in danger of not making the playoffs because they're so bad defensively. I mean, I think that's where the Flyers need to go if they want to try to find themselves a sniper.
Well, Brad, they're not out yet. They're not out yet. And I remember
How much faith do you have in them beating that Islander team 3 times?
Not a lot, but I didn't have faith when they were down 3-0 to Boston the year they went to the Stanley Cup, and they did that. One thing I ask you about, an esteemed hockey mind like yourself. I turned on the game last night, and I saw Brian Elliott starting in net, which made me sick to my stomach. You have one of the great young superstar goalies in this game. He's got to be out there. You're not winning the series 2-1. You're down 2-1. You can't have Brian Elliott in there. Now, I don't think he played that bad. I don't think Brian Elliott was the reason they lost the hockey game. But you got to have Carter Hart in there. That's ridiculous for Alain Vigneault to not have him out there.
The Islanders had Greiss in there. I mean, the Islanders didn't start Varlamov either.
With all due respect to Thomas Greiss and Varlamov, I don't even know his first name. They're not Carter Hart. Carter Hart is a wall back there. That game they won in overtime.
I understand that.
They're on the power play for the last 2 minutes of the game because Alain Vigneault made a silly challenge and got them a bench minor. Carter Hart stood tall. He's a wall back there. He's a primetime player. If I'm down 2-1 and need a win, I need Carter Hart in the fucking game.
Yeah, but the problem is goalies.
Not at all. I didn't like that at all.
In today's NHL, goalies don't play back-to-back games.
What do you mean? This isn't a Tuesday night in February. This is game.
I understand that, but the problem is these guys. I would have put in Hart myself. If you're asking me, I would have put him in also, because if you're losing, you can't afford to be doing that. But I think Vigneault felt that Hart may have been tired, and he needed a rest, and he went with what he thought with his gut was a guy that he would win with. I mean, I understand why he did that. And again, I was a little surprised that the Islanders went and put in Greiss. But I mean, Greiss, to me, I think Greiss is really good. I mean, Greiss is one of those guys. Greiss is either really, really good or really, really bad. It's never an in between with him. And
he's been really good every time I've seen him this series.
I'll tell you what, he was tremendous last night. The Flyers in the second period. In the last 10 minutes of that second period, when they came back and tied the game, I mean, they were putting enormous pressure on the Islanders, and it looked like they finally figured out how to get past them and to get to they were going to the net. And Greiss really, really, really stood tall. I mean, he made a couple of saves. I think there was one in particular on JVR when he got in front of the net. He stopped him on a breakaway, and on the rebound, I believe. I can't remember who had the rebound, but somebody took a shot on a rebound, and then he made that save too. And then he made another one on Giroux when Giroux was coming down on the off wing on the off wing on the faceoff circle, and he kind of faded to the left and then took a shot that was labeled in the corner. And I mean, he got it with his glove. I mean, it was an incredible save. The Flyers were doing everything right in that second period. I just don't understand why they can't put put 2 good periods together or 3 good periods together. It just seems like they only have maybe 10 to 15 minute spurts, and that's not good enough.
Well, the Flyers, they're not scoring. And
there's
only a handful. There's only a handful of guys that I would say are playing good right now. Carter Hart being one of them. Provorov's been awesome. Jacob Voracek's been awesome.
I think their defense has been very good.
Niskanen's been pretty good on the blue line.
Their defensemen have played well. I don't like the way Giroux is playing. He seems to play like
Giroux. Where is he? I mean, what's he doing? I mean,
he looked like when Greiss made that glove save on him, he just looked like he was going to cry. He looked up at the
Travis Konechny as well. It looked like Travis Konechny was really emerging into that sniper you just talked about them needing. He hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
And Kevin Hayes has set up a lot of goals, but he hasn't scored a lot of goals. The problem with Kevin Hayes, and I said this, and I always liked Kevin Hayes when he was with the Rangers. I always did, but I've always had one problem with Kevin Hayes. He's a big, strong 6'6" player that weighs 240 pounds and can fly. And that's to his detriment. That guy needs to be in front of the net, screening the goalie and out muscling people for rebounds and scoring dirty goals. If he was doing that, the Flyers would be in a much better place. And for whatever reason, he doesn't play that game. And I realize he's a really good skater and he can control the puck real well, but he needs to be in front of the net more, and he's not. And that's something he's somebody that could break out for you, and he needs to do that. And Konechny needs to score, and Couturier needs to score more. He hasn't scored enough either.
And he scored last night, but that's the first thing he's done.
Yeah, it's not enough.
Wow.
Their power play continues to be a big problem. And, that was a problem that the Rangers had, too, with Vigneault as the coach in the playoffs. Their power play never showed up in the playoffs. They always had a good power play during the season, and then in the playoffs it seemed to vanish. And that's a problem. Now, the Flyers have done a good job killing penalties, but you got to score on your power play. Very rarely do you see a team win the Stanley Cup if they're not scoring on their power play. Look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay against Boston has scored almost. It seems like they score every time they're on a power play. That Boston just can't stop them. I mean, you look at the Dallas Stars in that series against Colorado. It seems like every time the Stars are on a power play, they score. And with all respect to Colorado, they are really missing their goaltender Grubauer. It's really been a problem. Francois has just not done the job. And meanwhile, Khudobin back there has been.
Are the Flyers done? I guess they play tomorrow.
They play tomorrow. I think they win tomorrow. I think it's the all hands on deck game, and they win tomorrow. But I don't think they're able to carry it 2 games in a row.
And you'll be right. Islanders in 6.
That's what I originally picked, and I think that's worth.
You did say that.
So we'll see.
Credit.
I hope I'm wrong, but I can't stand the Islanders, and it would kill me to see them ever win a Stanley Cup.
Tampa Bay is up 2-1 with 2.5 minutes to go, and then Dallas and Colorado play. So we could have 2 really good hockey teams eliminated by tomorrow morning. But Mike Parker, he agrees with me. He isn't 28, 29 years old. He's a puppy. Give him a couple Gatorades and a Snickers. Looks like we missed a goal, so the Bruins have tied it. Yes, the Bruins have tied the hockey game up, so it is 2-2.
Yeah, well, the Bruins aren't going to quit, but having Tuukka Rask opt out and go home, and having Halak in the net, that's just too. Again, you're going with your backup goalie in the playoffs.
I hate that they started Brian Elliott in that hockey game the other night. I hate it.
Yeah, I hear you.
It was really going to step up on Sunday, and
in today's NHL, though,
he hasn't done jack shit.
They don't usually have their goalies playing 2 games in a row. A day, especially a day game after a night game. They just don't. They don't usually do that.
Well, I could see if the Flyers didn't have a legitimate first string goalie like Carter Hart, I could see it. I could buy into it maybe. But you have a stud. Carter Hart's a stud.
Yeah, but Elliott is not.
I gotta roll with my guy down 2-1.
Yeah, but
Elliott is rolling with my guys, but I gotta roll with Carter Hart down 2-1.
But Elliott is not an open window. Elliott's a good goalie, and they were using their backup goalie too. So I mean, Grice is not as good as Varlamov.
They're up 2-1.
I get that.
Not down 2-1 like the Flyers were.
Well, here's my question, and I don't know the answer to this because I don't watch enough of the Flyers to be able to make a statement to make this kind of a statement. When Carter Hart played back-to-back games, on consecutive days, how has he played? Because that's really the question. I don't know.
There's certainly merit to sitting him because he struggled with back-to-backs as a young player, and I get that. But this is not like
but you can't take a chance.
Your franchise guy out there.
Yeah, but you can't take a chance that he's going to struggle in a playoff game. If he has a history,
why? Then you just take him out.
Yeah, but the damage will already be done.
That's fine. I'll live with that with my guy. Because if Brian Elliott goes out there and lets up 5 in the first period, I don't know if I can forgive my head coach, and I'm calling for his head tonight.
Well, yeah, but that didn't happen. He played pretty
Didn't
well.
happen, no.
I mean, I thought he played well. I don't think.
There were other reasons they lost the game.
No,
Preferably,
I mean, I don't think you could blame him for any.
They're only putting together one good period, Brad, where they really put the press on the Islanders.
I mean, they're getting out. They're getting outshot. They're getting outshot in 2/3 of the periods.
Right.
They're getting outshot in 2/3 of every game. And even the game
they get it done against the Islanders or anybody in the playoffs.
The one game that they won, they blew a 3-0 lead, and then they had to win in overtime. So I mean that's the whole problem with what's going on right now.
I hear you.
They're in a horrible spot right now. I want to go back to football and
yes.
try to end this with football because we started with football. We got to
do our predictions.
Yeah, we want to get back
on next week.
So
with the holiday, with the Labor Day, and we're undetermined if we're going to do a show because we're gonna get our football predictions out of the way. I'm going to give you a few fantasy picks. By the way, if you need help with your fantasy football draft, your upcoming fantasy draft, last Tuesday night, Birds of a Feather, Chuck's Manaran, Chrome, and their crew over there, they did a fantastic fantasy football preview show. You should download it off iTunes and listen to it. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with everything they said, but they certainly put their own perspective on everything, and it helped me see things a little clearer because I really haven't had time to prepare for fantasy football this year. So, Brad, we talked about the East. That's our poll question of the night. It's prediction time. The lights are on. Who you picking in the East?
I'm going to still have to pick. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Dallas second, Giants third, Redskins fourth. In the North, I am going to absolutely go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings. I like the Bears, though, Brad. I do.
Yeah, but the Vikings defense is just
I like that defense.
Yeah, but the Vikings defense is just as good as the Bears defense, and the Vikings have a quarterback now that's proven that he can win a playoff game.
I'm not sipping the Green Bay Kool-Aid this year.
No, I don't think their defense is good. I think Green Bay is good enough to get one of the wild card positions. I don't
know about that.
Yeah, no, I think they will.
I think the Bears are going to surprise some people with that defense.
I don't know. I mean,
be a surprise in the NFL, and I think the Bears are mine.
Are you drinking the Foles Kool-Aid?
That's a coincidence. I'm more picking them because of their defense, and I think Nagy's system is a good system if you have a quarterback that doesn't play like Mitchell Trubisky played last year. He was horrible. He
was also injured, though. I mean,
Foles isn't even guaranteed to start there. I don't know how that competition's going, but it wouldn't surprise me if Trubisky won that starting job.
And he could also get sat down within 2 weeks too.
Because Brad, in the North, I look at Minnesota. I think Kirk Cousins had a career year last year. I think he can only go down. I think you lose Stephon Diggs. Yeah, you pick a nice rookie in Justin Jefferson, but Stephon Diggs he's a proven guy. It also looks like the Minnesota Vikings are about to release their starting left tackle over a salary dispute. So maybe that's something the Eagles can get involved in. I'm not sure. We'll have to see when he's officially released. So I don't think the Vikings are as good as they were last year, but then they turn the whole thing upside down by getting Yannick.
Well, that's my whole premise is that their defense.
I had the Bears. I got a sheet right next to me that I made it before the Yannick trade. I have the Bears winning the North, but
yeah, I just think Yannick changed the whole trajectory of that division. And I like Minnesota.
I'm not a Packers fan, and the Lions. No offense to Don 19, but I mean the Lions are a day late and a dollar short year after year. I don't expect that to change this year.
That division is very competitive. That's the problem. Lions are in the wrong division. If they were in our division, they could probably compete because there's some the teams are a little weaker in our division. But in that division, you've got the Packers, Bears, and Vikings. I mean, the Lions are clearly fourth best in that division.
Yeah, because it gets tough. It gets tough with the wild cards in the NFC.
Yeah, but I like the Vikings. I like Green Bay to snag a wild card. In the South, I still have to pick New Orleans. I think Tampa Bay sounds a wild card.
I'm picking Tampa.
Okay.
I think Brady's got one last hurrah in him, and he has a really good season and makes a deep run in the NFC.
Okay, and who do you have? Do you think the Saints snag a wild card?
Yes.
Okay, and then we're just opposite as far as that goes.
Right.
I don't like Atlanta. You can't get me to
No, and I think Carolina's a year away. I like Matt.
Carolina is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year.
But I do believe in Matt Rule. I think he'll have that thing turned around sooner rather than later, but not this year.
Well, yeah, they basically they got rid of they cleaned house and started to go over again. So
and then I really like the Seahawks. I really like the Seahawks in the West.
Oh, you gotta love the Seahawks. I mean,
you got Wilson, you got Jamal Adams. You had Jamal Adams. You have great receivers in Lockett and Metcalf. You have a pretty good running game.
And you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in Russell Wilson.
So I really like – I think the Rams snag a wild card.
Yeah, I would go with San Francisco to snag a wild card. So
I got them. I got the Super Bowl hangover for the Niners. No playoffs for the Niners from me.
Okay.
I think the Rams step up, and Arizona's going to be better. Arizona's a good team. They're going to be better as well.
Here's a question for you. Where do you think Leonard Fournette ends up?
I don't know. I think the Rams make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that would be my first inclination would be there.
I think.
What about the Jets?
I hope he doesn't, because I had 2 fantasy football drafts the other day, and I got Le'Veon Bell in both of them. I think he went he's being entirely undervalued, and I think the Jets are going to be pretty good, as you'll see with my AFC predictions here in a second. So I hope he doesn't go to the Jets from a selfish fantasy football standpoint. The Patriots, they need bodies. Their whole team opted out because of COVID. Maybe he could end up there.
He could end up. Listen, he could end up in Houston, or he could end up in. I could see Houston getting him. There's a few teams I could see wanting to get him. He's a little bit of a head case for sure, and he's always getting hurt. But you know what? He's certainly a guy that you want to pay attention to. I think he's got some ability.
Yeah, for a guy who just got released, you got a whole running back. I think that could work.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, but yeah, so I guess I'm gonna pick the Eagles in the East. I can't stomach Dallas winning it, but I think I said they were gonna be a 1-bid division, but so I have the Seahawks, I have the Rams, I guess I have to pick the Vikings now because of Yannick. That's just a game-changing move. And I guess the Bears aren't going to make it, even though I think they can surprise some people.
Yeah, I have them coming in third.
More wild card to play with.
Well, you got the Saints right now.
Yeah, well, I got the Saints, the Rams as a wild card, and then I guess I'll go Arizona. I love Kyler Murray. I love what they're doing there. So I'll go with them. I think Kenyon Drake is going to have a good year. Kenyon Drake is
real tough division, though. Real tough division.
I think Kyler Murray's the real deal, though, Brad. I really do.
He very well could be. The only problem is that the NFC West is loaded. There's some.
I think the Niners take
all 4 of those teams. I think all 4 of those teams could win our division. To be quite honest with you.
But I'll buy Arizona. I can't buy the Bears, and I don't want to pick Dallas. So I'll pick Arizona.
Okay. Let's go to the we have a little time left. Let's go.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. We started a little late, so we can run a little over if we want. The AFC, I think the Titans are going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think they're going to run through that division. I think that division stinks. I think the Titans are physical. I think the Titans are well coached. I think they run the football. I think they play great defense and great special teams.
And they can throw just enough to score when they have to.
I think Tannehill's just good enough for them. Like, if you're going to load the box for Henry, I think Tannehill is just good enough to be able to beat you, which he did down the stretch to a lot of teams.
Yes, he did.
A.J. Brown's a fantastic receiver.
And they have a very, you know what, that's just a very physical team. I love real physical teams in football because real physical teams.
I'm not buying the Colts. I'm not buying the Bears at all. I'm not. Houston just railroaded their team. I don't know what Bill O'Brien's doing. And the Jaguars are just a laughingstock. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that if the Titans won 12 or 13 games and grabbed the number 1 seed in the AFC. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the Titans won the AFC. I really like what they're doing down there in Tennessee.
Oh, you think they're gonna be better than Kansas City?
No, I think they're gonna have. I think they might have more wins than Kansas City. But when push comes
that could happen
because comes to shove in a playoff game, I'm gonna pick Patrick Mahomes. But that doesn't. That game can't be in Tennessee.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because I'm looking at the West, and I think the Chiefs win the West, but Oakland's getting better. The Chargers have a really good team, and Denver's getting better. I think that's
keep in mind though that the with no fans in the building, and Kansas City having such a strong home field advantage, that could make a little bit of a difference.
Yeah,
I mean because let's be honest, the Arrowhead Stadium is one of the most intimidating places to play in the NFL. I mean, even when the Chiefs weren't good, they were always tough to beat in Kansas City. I mean, they really
hung on to win 8-6. They won the baseball game, Brad.
Who? Oh, the Phillies. Okay,
Phillies. They won 8-6.
So how far behind the Braves are they?
They're right there. Well, the Braves blew it open against the Red Sox in the late innings, so they didn't make up any ground tonight.
But right now, you want to try to stay even with the Braves right now because the Braves are playing the Red Sox.
So they're a half game. They're in third place still. They're going to be a half game. They'll remain a half game behind the Marlins because they won today as well.
Well, they'll catch the Marlins. They're better than the Marlins.
All right, but back to the AFC. So the South, do you agree with the Titans?
Absolutely. And I don't like any of the other teams
I don't like any wild card teams out of the South. I agree with you. The West, I think we can both agree that the Chiefs are good.
The team to beat in the AFC West. I think the Oakland Raiders might be the Las Vegas Raiders.
There you go.
Will be a big factor this year. I could see them coming in second in that division.
Really? You think they're that good? I think Derek Carr blows, so I can't pick the Raiders.
They've made a lot of moves, and they've got.
They have. And I think Mike Mayock's doing a great job, and how I feel about Gruden. I think he's just a cartoon character that's going to wear out his welcome when push comes to shove. Possibly,
but that also could be a spot for Fournette as well.
Not a bad point.
That could be. I mean, I wouldn't. Would it surprise you if the Raiders signed Clowney?
That wouldn't surprise me either. See, I'm a little confused with my last wild card spot here in the AFC because I like the Chargers, but it just came out today that Derwin James, their great safety, he's going to miss the whole season with having yet another knee operation.
Oh, jeez.
Going to be out 6 to 8 months. So
yeah,
that's
they still got Big Nick though.
Well, no, they have Joey.
Joey. Okay, I'm sorry. Who? Okay.
Next on the Niners. Both of them got.
Both of them are monsters. They still have Joey out there, and they're going to be tough to beat. The Yankees are now coming back against Tampa. It's now 5-3. Voit just put one out. He's been playing great, by the way, Voit. That's 13 home runs for him now.
That's a lot of home runs.
Yeah, 13 home runs in 31 games.
All right, so the AFC East, Brad, I love the Jets.
You know what? I am picking the Buffalo Bills. I think this is the year that New England.
Josh Allen, though? You think? Josh Allen, though?
I think Josh Allen improves this year. I think he gets better. I liked I liked what I saw this year out of him. I thought he played pretty well this year.
I just like Darnold, though. I just like Darnold as a quarterback.
Oh, I like Darnold. I like Darnold too. I'm wondering with the Jets. Did they fix their defense? They seem to have fixed their offense.
I think they fixed their bringing in Fant and Mekhi Becton with the 10th pick in the draft, and also bring in Von Rue, who started for the Panthers for years. I think they have a handle on their offensive line, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Le'Veon Bell.
I agree with you. The only thing I worry about with the Jets is their cornerbacks are terrible, and that's the one thing I would worry about with them. They haven't really addressed.
I don't think the East is anything that great either.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I like the Bills to win the division.
I like the Bills as a wild card.
Okay, who do you think wins the division?
The Jets.
You think the Jets are going to win the division? I think they're going to come in second.
I think Darnold really busts out.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, Darnold really. I'll tell you what.
6-3 last year. The Jets were 6-3 last year.
I remember. I told you that they were really good when he came back after the mono. Yeah, it's not his fault he got mono. I mean, it's not an injury. That's not an injury. That's not a football injury. So, but when he came back, they played real well. And you know what? They definitely fixed their offensive line. I'm just concerned if they have enough weapons to score enough points. But you know what? If Darnold plays real well, he'll make those guys weapons. So we'll see what happens there. I like Buffalo because of their defense, and I think their offense is going to be good enough. And I think
Buffalo has no holes, and they're well coached. So it's not a bad pick. I do think Buffalo makes the playoffs.
Yeah, New England. I'm out on New England. I think
I'm out.
Yeah, I think they're
guys opted out. I'm not a Cam Newton guy.
Yeah, I think they're gonna come in. I think they're going to come in third, and I think the Dolphins are going to come in fourth. But I can see the Dolphins being 6-10 this year, and I can see
better.
Yeah, the Patriots I could see being 7-9. Awful. They're just not going to be. They're not going to be the big time team they've been in the past.
And then we have the AFC North. I think the Ravens are a shoo-in to win the AFC North.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Steelers are going to come in second.
I like the Browns second, actually.
Okay, so you think the coaching change makes the difference?
Yes.
Did they address their offensive line enough?
The coaching change makes a big difference, and I think just not having the expectations that they had last year, I think that's going to help as well. I think Baker's better. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is better. I think the defense is better. I think they have a better leadership group with Stefanski in there instead of Kitchens. I think the Browns are going to win 10 games this year. I think they're going to be the top.
I could see that.
Then I'm not as high on the Broncos as everyone else. I think they're a year away. So I have Titans, Ravens, Jets, Chiefs as my division winners. I have Cleveland. I have I'm still going to pick the Chargers as a wild card despite the Derwin James injury. I think they're really talented. And I have Buffalo. So I have the Steelers out.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Bills, the Titans, the Chiefs, and the Ravens, and the playoff, the wild cards are going to be the Jets, the Steelers, and the Browns. And I'm going to throw out the other teams. I'm going to throw out all the teams in the West.
Okay.
Because I'm not.
NFC, I'm going to reluctantly pick my Eagles, even though I don't like what I'm seeing at all. Every time my phone beeps here, I have to look at it, make sure no one else got hurt. Like, it's ridiculous. I do think it's a one bid league, so I'm gonna have the Cowboys out. I have Seattle in the West. I have the Vikings in the North. I have Tampa in the South, and then I have Saints, Rams, Cardinals as my wild cards. I think Seattle, sitting here on August 31st, I think the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I am going to go with the Chiefs again. I think the Chiefs beat
I hate picking a repeat.
Yeah, I just think Patrick Mahomes. If anybody can do what he can, I like the Chiefs and I like the Saints. I think this is the Saints' last chance.
Don't do it this year. I don't want to hear any bitching and complaining. That's 3 years in a row you've been the favorite, and that's 3 years in a row.
Well, I think this is. It's now or never for the Saints, and I think they finally win the Super Bowl this year.
It'd be nice for Drew Brees to go out on top like that.
Well,
but I hate.
I'm pulling for him. I've always kind of been a fan of Drew Brees. I love the way he conducts his offense. I like the fact that their coach was smart enough to go out and make sure that they had a good running game for him, so he doesn't have to win these games by himself. Kamara is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, they're going to be very, very tough, and they've got a real good defense.
And then AFC champion. I'm going to give the Titans some love. I'm going to pick a little bit of a boring Super Bowl. I'm going to pick the Seahawks over the Titans. So,
that would be a very big-time defensive battle.
It'd be physical.
Yeah.
Needs.
Well, I don't think anybody is going to out-physical the Titans. But at the same time, yeah, nobody's going to out-physical the Titans. But, I mean, they don't have a lot of speed in that defense. And if you can somehow get off the line of scrimmage and get down the field, you might be able to score some points against them. But they got such a good pass rush. They're tough. I mean, they're really, really tough. I could see them being in the AFC Finals again, without question, in the championship game. I just don't think they're going to have an answer for Mahomes, and I think Mahomes is only going to get better. I mean, it's scary. That was his third year in the league, and he's already a Super Bowl champ. What is he? 23 years old.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
He's going to get better.
MVP and a Super Bowl champion at 23.
Yeah, he's
the highest paid player in the league.
Yeah, as he should be. He's the best player in the league, right? So we'll see what happens.
Huge shout out to Bob Chandler for jumping on last minute, talking about the hottest team in baseball right now, the San Diego Padres. We apologize to the family. We didn't really focus on the comments. We had a lot going on with Chandler, the Chandler interview right in the middle. So we'll be sure to get to your comments next episode of the Sports Hounds. I'm Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer. Huge shout out to Frank Vesby, setting up everything with Bob Chandler and doing a great job producing as he does each and every Monday. If we don't see you next week, have a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. Don't forget to buy your merchandise on PhillyDrinkers.com. Like I said, I'm Rob. He's Brad. Have a good night, everybody.